You know, who'd have thought that maths could actually teach you to read the future? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what this lesson is going to do. So pull up a chair, a pencil and paper, and by the end of this, you are going to be able to expect amazing things. Now, as I say when I teach this, expected numbers are actually great. It's sort of like guessing the future. Because what you do is when you're given a piece of information about the current, you can work out what might be expected. Or you can turn around and say, well, actually, this is going to happen. So let's talk about what it is we're going to do this very short but exciting lesson. We're going to understand what an expected value is and how to find them from tables. Tables, the type you sit under? No, probably not, but we'll give it a go. Now, as you can see here, I hate to tell you this, I've actually got the winning number for the Mega Millions. I've already decided to predict that these are the numbers that will happen this week. Yes, I know many of you have already looked at it and realised, hold on a moment, this is for the Oregon Lottery. And, well, it was drawn on October the 31st, 2017. But actually, you never know, it might be that these numbers come up again. Most of you watching this, if you're in year 6 or year 7, are probably way too young to play the lottery anyway. So let's go back to the maths. If I were to take 1 hour to eat 5 apples, how many apples will I eat in 2 hours? How many of you have shot straight to the whole idea of 10 apples? Well, actually, you've just read the future, because all the information I have at this moment in time is that in 1 hour, I have eaten 5 apples. What you've done is you've projected, you've done a little bit of mental arithmetic, and you've gone, well, hold on a moment. If I'm going from 1 hour, and the question wants me to find out how many in 2 hours, then because I've doubled the number of hours, then hopefully, if I double the number of apples, I will end up with 10 apples. And lo and behold, there is your answer. And it comes back to this stuff again. I mean, I just recorded a lesson earlier that was on about fractions and cancelling down and equivalent fractions. And the great thing to remember with maths, particularly when you get to algebra, is what you do to one side, you must do to the other. And so, because I've split my hours and apples up into sides, and I've multiplied my hours by 2, then I must multiply my number of apples by 2. And that's the premise for this whole lesson. So let's look at another example. If I take 2 hours to eat 3 cakes, how long will it take to eat 6 cakes? Whoa, well, hold on a moment. Too complicated. Well, no, not really. All they're trying to ask you to do is actually do the same thing, but backwards. All right? Now they're saying 2 hours and cakes. Now, this is what I do. I've got 2 hours, so I'm going to have a column that says hours. And I'm going to have a column that says cakes. And I'm actually going to draw a dotted line between the two. And I'm going to write down what information they give me. So I've got 2 hours, so there's 2 hours, and I've got 3 cakes. 3 cakes. The question wants me to find how long. So that means I'm going to put a value in my hours. Will it take me to eat 6 cakes? So all I'm going to do is put a 6 in the cakes. That's actually the hard part of this question. If you can put some numbers in some columns, I think, as far as I'm concerned, everything else you can do will be easy. Because I now say, well, okay, how do I get from the number 3 to the number 6? Anyone who is currently screaming at the screen, add 3, please turn off the video and go away. Well, okay, if you've actually added saying plus 3, it's a common mistake in maths. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to use multiplication or division to try and help us. And in this situation, again, choosing easy examples. If I go 3 times 2, I'll get to 6. And because maths has to be balanced, and here's a little balance, little seesaw, there's me on it. Well, my legs are in a very strange place. In fact, that leg looks really strange. Where are my arms? Oh, there's one arm, and there's the arms, and there we are. I'm smiling. And what's on this side? Well, I don't know. Let's put a fish. No, that's not a fish. Yeah, it is. It's a fish. Anyway, get carried away. So the point of it is, if I put times 2 here, then how many hours will it take? It will have taken me 4 hours. Again, I am sure some of you are watching this going, well, that was really, really easy and I know all this stuff. Yes, you do, but it gets significantly harder later on, particularly in year 8 and year 9, where something called ratios comes in and it all gets really quite funky. But it all builds on the general idea is if you can actually set your work out like this, your life probably will be so much easier. Here we go. I can't get through a lesson without talking about food, and probably KFC, one of my favourites. It takes 3 hours to eat one bargain bucket. So there's my 3, there's my 1. We're talking about hours. So I'm now going to put a column with hours, and I'm going to put a column of bargain bucket. And because maths likes us to make things easier to write, I'm just going to do BB for bargain bucket. So how many hours did we have? 3 hours. How many bargain buckets did I have? Just the 1. So now what? How long? Well, how long is an hours? Put a square there. Will it take me to eat 5 buckets? Well, there's the hard work done again. I'm looking for how do I get from 1 to 5? Do not say plus 4. Yes, times by 5. Multiply any number by a number and you'll get to that number. No, that didn't make any sense. So 1 times 5 is 5. And what I do to the other side, I times that by 6. Yes? I should not think so, no. I'm going to times by 5. And 3 times 5 is, in fact, 15. And there is my answer. Now, probably in the question, they'll want you to actually write down. So you'll probably put something like, it will take me 15 hours to eat 5 bargain buckets. Now, I have to say, if you eat 5 bargain buckets of KFC, you're probably going to be on your way to hospital. But that's just a whole new discussion. So as I say here, these questions all have you guessing the future because you're taking information you've got at the moment and the hope that that's what will happen in the future. The chances are, if I've already eaten 15 or 5 bargain buckets, it's going to take me a lot longer than 15 hours to eat it. It'll probably take me about 15 weeks because the thought of KFC will just make me sick. All right, so here's another example. I like this one because I obviously don't go out. I've spent some time looking out of my window. Draw a picture of a window. There we go. Looking out of the window. There is me looking out of my window. The following table, and again, no, not this type of table, not the one you sit under. That's just dumb. How many colours of cars pass my house in 1 hour, one morning? Now, there's a small problem with where I live because it's actually a cul-de-sac. It actually doesn't have an end and cars could probably get piled up at the back. But theoretically speaking, reading this table says I had 10 red cars, 5 blue, 3 orange, 1 pink. Yes, there's obviously one person out there who likes pink as a colour, and 8 black cars. That was, once again, in 1 hour. So I always tend to write by the table 1 hour because questions try and trick me. So here's a question. How many blue cars will pass in 2 hours? Well, if I have 1 hour, and that was equal to 5 blue, then 2 hours would be equal to, well, if that's twice as big, that must be twice as big, and so I'll have 10 blue. Did you notice I actually said it out slightly differently? All right, yes, I could have put the hours on the top on the dotted line, but the more I do these questions, the more I can find other ways of doing it. How many black cars will pass in 4 hours? So again, we always start that 1 hour. How many black cars were there? There were 8 black cars. They say in 4 hours. So I'm going to write the 4 under the number of hours. And how do I get from 1 to 4? I times by 4. So I'm going to times that by 4. And 8 times 4 is... Now again, lots of people are like, well, I don't know how to do that in my head. Me, I just go, well, 8, 8, 8, and 8. I know that 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. I know that 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. And then I can do 16 plus 16 gives me 32. And so we have 32 black cars. Whoop, whoop. How many red cars will pass in 10 hours? Well, back to my table. In 1 hour, we have 10 red cars. So 10 hours, there's my 10 hours. Right, I've multiplied by 10, so I must do the same here. Multiply by 10, and everyone knows that 10 times 10 is equal to red. Now, those were all done forwards. And if you remember in maths what we do forwards, we can always do backwards. So, how long have I been at the window? How long? This time it wants me to find the number of hours if I've seen 12 orange cars. So, in 1 hour, how many orange cars have I seen? I've seen 3 orange cars. This time, it's telling me I've seen 12 orange cars. So how do I get from 3 to 12? I multiply by 4. So because I do the same to both sides, I end up with 4 hours is equal to 12 orange cars. Whoa! Now, reading tables is really important, and you cannot get by a maths lesson without some random meme. Why did the boy do multiplication problems on the floor? His teacher told him not to use tables. Yeah, I know. Actually, it wasn't that funny, really, but yeah, works with me. So using tables is really important. Being able to read tables is great. So, for example, some questions might actually give you some information and say, well, what could this table show? Well, you're looking down there, Royal Gala, Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, Granny Smith, my favourite type of these things, and there we go. So, let me go. I've given you a little bit of a hint here with that little Apple logo. There we go, to see what it is. So, what question could we use with this table? If I eat 3 Royal Gala apples in 1 hour, how many will I eat in 5 hours? Now, it's not asking me to actually work it out. They're actually saying, what question could I write? So that was a little bit of a curveball. And there we go. Now, something slightly different for me this time. Here you go. I've actually put some questions here for you. So I'm going to leave those up to you. Why not pause the video and then come back in just a short while to see what those answers actually are. All right, so have a go, and I'll speak to you soon. Welcome back. Did you pause the video, or are you just letting it run? Okay, well, here we go. So, how many shirts can he be expected to count in 2 hours? Well, remember, this is 1 hour. So 1 hour is equal to see, I've just misread the table, is equal to 3 shirts. Did you see what I did there? I read the 5 from t-shirts. Ooh, awkward. And so 2 hours would be 6 shirts. So that's 6. How many socks can be counted in 4 hours? Well, 8 socks is equal to 1 hour. So 4 hours gives me 8, 16, 24, 32. So 32 socks. If he's counted 24 hats, how long has he been counting for? Well, hats. So I had 1 hour is 4 hats. And I've got 24 hats, which means how do I get from 4 to 24? I times by 6. And the same here, times by 6. So I must have been counting for 6 whole hours. How many items in total has Mr. Smith counted after 1 hour? Oh my goodness, they threw a curveball. They weren't doing that type of ratio thing or the expected value. They just wanted you to count up how many I have counted after 1 hour. So let me see. I've got 1 plus 5 plus 3 plus 8 plus 5 plus 4. 1 plus 5 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. Plus 8 is 17. Plus 5 is 22. Plus 4 is 26. So there were 26. So how many items will I count after 10 hours? Assuming I count the same numbers and the same ratio, then it's 260 hours. Wow! Now, Miss Ellis has been asking people how many pets they own after 2 hours. She has the following results. Oh, did you get tricked? 2 hours. How many animals does she count in the first 2 hours? Nice and easy question. So, 4 plus 8 plus 3 plus 9 plus 10 plus 1. 4 plus 8 is 12, plus the 3 is 15, plus the 9 is 24. 34 and 35 in total, so 35 animals. How many animals do you think she's expected to count in 4 hours? Now, did you get tricked there? Remember, she did 35 in 2 hours. So to get to 4 hours, all I actually needed to do was double it, which gave me 70. How many of you actually put 140? Again, maths is a trick, be careful. How many hours will she take to count 27 goldfish? Well, remember, she takes 2 hours and she counts 9 goldfish. If she ends up with 27 goldfish, how do we get from 9 to 27? Multiply by 3. Multiply by 3 will actually give you 6 hours. And finally, the monkeys. How many will we get in 8 hours? Well, we have 1 monkey in 2 hours. And so, what did it say? How many did we get in 8 hours? 8. From 2 to 8 is times by 4. So times by 4, and it is 4 monkeys. Now, obviously, it says here, create your own question and come and show it to me. Who will try and answer it? And I said, be nice. Number one, please do not try and track me down. This was a question used for my current teaching group to see whether they could actually come up with their own table. You do not need to submit this to me, but thanks very much for having a go. All right, that's the end of this lesson. I look forward to seeing you next time.